Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, and I'm joined by Prudential Utah Real Estate, Jim Lee, Deb Hartley. Welcome to the show. It's been a while since I've got to see you guys.
Joe, we missed you last
I missed
month.
seeing you. I had an Air Force deployment, so it was unfortunate. It wasn't exciting. I went to Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh wow!
Up to Fargo.
Lucky you.
It wasn't terribly exciting.
Marge.
So I'd have been much happier with you guys.
Thanks.
But that being said, I'm really excited to talk with you again today. This time we're talking about condos, which. What an appropriate time to talk about it, because I know a lot of people have been, are starting to come back in the winter, and as fall comes on, and this is one of those thoughts. It always goes through my head at this time of year. I'm like, dang it, why didn't I get a condo for for winter this year?
Joe,
That'd be
you
exciting.
still can.
I know, I need to find one. But that's something that as we start to look, we get all excited about it. We don't necessarily know all the things that we should be thinking about.
Right.
And there are some stuff about condos that are different than homes that you should definitely consider.
Sure.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What are some of the things that we ought to be aware of?
Well, just about every condo complex has what's called a homeowners association, or what we refer to as an HOA.
Or what I refer to as an extra fee.
Same thing. Exactly.
Bingo.
Right?
And those fees can either be assessed monthly or quarterly. Typically, they're quarterly.
Right.
And depending upon the age and the condition of the association, there are different things that are included in that fee.
Right.
Go ahead, Jim.
The concept of the whole deal is that you're buying into a community where you don't maintain the exterior.
Yes.
Basically, it is maintained for you. So that's what the homeowner's fees are for. Everything from outside your walls, on the grounds, the garage, should there be a garage, the road, should they be private, and things like that.
The roof.
Exactly. There's another aspect too, I suppose, as well, and that is that when it's your home, you control how it looks and how nice it is, and there aren't sections of your home that you're probably going to let go bad because that's just the part that no one sees. Maybe you get away with that with your house, but with a condominium, the last thing you want is a neighbor who's just letting his part of it go, or putting the couch out front, right? All those kind of things.
That's a
that's part of the
good
homeowner
example
association
where
as well.
if one would put a couch out in front, that perhaps that might be prohibited by the association, because the concept is what's good for all. In other words, what enhances the values the most, what makes it look nice, which is the most livable, etc.
And
There's a lot of things.
And help it retain its value.
Exactly.
The important point.
Well, and up here in Park City, there's another thing to consider, and that's snow removal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, nobody's real excited about having to do that if they don't have to, right?
Correct.
So
And that's
typically
a
that
super
might
benefit.
be in a homeowners association.
Exactly. That's a huge benefit of you don't have to worry about that. Now, typically the homeowners association will plow, perhaps, if the roads are private in particular.
Right.
And different homeowners associations clean different degree, shall we say. Some go right up to the door. Some go
just the road only.
Just the road only, and so
Right.
forth.
So they include the landscaping, do all the landscaping maintenance, which includes all the water. So you have things that run the exterior of the building: water, electricity, that sort of thing. That's all included in that budget.
Okay. One of the things that I thought was interesting, and we'll get into the differences between different kinds of condominiums in a moment, but part of that is that there are condominiums that are meant strictly, or I shouldn't say strictly, that are meant to be rented a lot, or to be subleased or something to that effect, right?
Well, to be put into a pool, so to speak, for nightly, what we call nightly rental. Now, nightly rental does not mean there's somebody new in there every night. That means it's short-term rental, 4 to 7 nights.
When we'll talk about that in detail in a minute, but one of the things I thought was interesting, that sometimes one of the things that comes along with the homeowners association because of that is that it might have internet service that's provided by the homeowners association. It might have some kind of cable service or something like that, again provided by the HOA. So your fees might be paying for a lot of different other parts of the infrastructure you would never consider.
So, for instance,
otherwise.
in the association I live in, I get my fireplaces cleaned once a year. I have the windows exterior cleaned once a year.
That's nice.
Snow plowing up to my front door. I mean, it's all encompassing. All the landscaping, all the water. I mean, so check what you buy into to make sure what it's covering.
Well, this clearly is a reason why, for a lot of people, this is the choice. If they're looking to have every day be a little bit like a vacation, or if you're a little bit older and you don't want to take care of all the maintenance and things like that, I'm done with that. I thought I wanted a lawn when I bought a house. Not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah, I'm kind of over
Not
it.
all that.
Yeah, I'm not excited about mowing the lawn anymore.
And especially people who travel a lot can shut the door and they don't have to worry about the yard at all.
A pretty nice deal.
That's a nice setup.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about some of the issues, nightly rentals, pets, things like that. So let's talk about that a little bit.
So one of the big considerations is, people who come here and want to buy a condo to use for the winter or whenever. There are properties called what's called condo-tels or condo hotels.
Right.
And those specifically have a front desk to them where you check in if you have concerns. Now, those are nice on the front, but lenders don't like to lend on those because it's like lending on a hotel.
Oh, interesting.
So anything that has a front desk to it is considered a condo-tel and has an eyebrow raised by a lender.
So it'd be very difficult to purchase it with lent money. If you had cash, one thing.
Absolutely.
But getting
with
a lend,
with the standard, 20% down, 80% financing.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Yeah. So your notes
And your
be a lot
rates are going to be a
smaller.
little higher as well.
Right.
Correct.
But it can be done. It's just
Can
that
be done,
you're
sure.
looking at a much higher percentage down.
You're looking at a different loan
30% or more down. Exactly.
Interesting. Well, sometimes those are really terrific, and I can see why
Right.
people would look at them because obviously they're real good revenue generators, right?
Right.
You can,
Sure.
you put the bare minimum of things that you need in it to make it your home. You can even have a couple of your pictures up, and yet you walk away from it and it's getting rental money.
So I'm going to be a myth buster here.
Okay.
So a lot of people think if they come here and they buy a condo with 20% down, and then they have debt service on it, and they rent it out, it's going to pay for itself.
Not so much.
I'm a
right?
myth buster. That's not going to happen. It hasn't happened in years with 20% down. There's just, by the time you pay your HOA fees, your utilities and insurance, and your taxes, there's not enough left over for debt service.
Yeah, see, and people are certainly unaware of that, I think, often because they think, well, but there's Sundance and there's this
Christmas
and there's that.
and there's-
People are going to
exactly.
spend, but those are the only times you really can be sure you're going to be full, which is another part of it too.
Well, not only that, but the property management company is going to take anywhere from 35 to 45% of your gross rental revenue. So
That's a lot.
And then you get taxed on the rest of it. You get a K1 for the rest of it.
Wow.
Wow.
So that is a myth
Sorry.
bust.
Well,
Darn it.
And now what that property manager does is they create the reservation.
Right.
And so they book it, they market it, they book it.
They clean it.
They clean it, and they maintain it while someone is there. They will come in and assist if need be. So, they provide a definite service, but that's a chunk of change, too.
Well, and the thing you got to consider too is it means that strangers are living in your home when you're not
Right.
there. And for a lot of people, that's not something they're going to be real happy about at the end of the day.
That's
you need to think about
well
that.
put.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. But see, then there takes away that investment.
Right.
They're investing, looking at the appreciation in years to come. That's also a great idea.
Yeah, that part of it is something, I guess, regardless of whether you're making money on it as a rental, the long haul of it is you're
exactly
probably
right.
there's some value here.
There is
There's
value.
it's still an investment.
That's right.
It's not, a lot of people, I think, put their home as the number one investment. We've talked about that before. And in some cases, it can be a
Right.
very good, valuable investment. It can make a lot of money. Condos probably not quite at that, on par with that, I would say.
It depends. There are some condos that have done
Sometimes.
exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Condos that have done exceptionally
again,
well.
this matters about location, right?
It's exactly right.
Sure.
And this is where we make sure that we get a realtor because they know where the
You know where the
locations
good
are.
spots are.
Right?
That's right. Different
Exactly.
locations service different needs, and the closer, obviously, you get to the foot of the lifts,
Yeah.
the more rental nightly or short-term rental oriented it is.
Is there anything when you're talking about a condo-tel, is there a way in which the rooms are booked to make sure that some people don't have an unfair advantage depending on where the room is in the property or something like that?
No, that's a great question because obviously there are some parts of a development that are going to be
Right.
corner units with great views, and some are going to be interior on the back side. But with people, because you own the inside, Some people are tricking them out beautifully on the inside.
So it's how you do your inside.
And the property management company is rating them, for instance, platinum, gold, silver, bronze.
Interesting.
And if you're a platinum unit, you're going to probably get way more rentals than a bronze unit. So if you're 30 years old in original condition, you might get the college group in there. But if you, so this is kind of how I say it. The nicer the rental, the higher the value, or the higher the rental rate, the nicer the renter.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you definitely want to think about who's renting your
Exactly.
place.
Exactly.
Right?
Sure.
You want that value to be up
Yes.
there at the highest it can be in the property. One of the things that I thought was interesting is I've seen people advertise for their condo inside a condotel.
Right.
With obviously the caveat of you need to contact these people to rent it.
Right.
But that's another thing that happens too, above and beyond what the condo association does or the HOA does.
So there's a very common site called VRBO, vacationrentalbyowner.com. And if you go to that and look for Park City properties, there's thousands of condos on there that either people are renting personally or they're renting through the property management.
Right.
Just to get that additional exposure.
That's awesome. Now,
So-
I'm assuming that if somebody starts to wonder about doing this, because we hope they do, it makes good sense. I'm assuming you can help people set up everything from where to
Soup to nuts.
purchase it,
Exactly.
who to
Sure.
talk to get it going.
Well,
if they want to do some of these things,
Who's the right
to soup it
lender
up.
that can lend on it? Because not all lenders can loan on a
Right.
property that's got a front desk to it.
Exactly.
So we know all those nuances.
Right. And one other thing I should mention, though, is that all condos aren't for investment. We find a lot of people here that purchase a condo as a primary residence.
Me.
Exactly.
And that's where something like, that's a good example.
Yeah.
And each individual homeowners association has their own policy regarding pets in particular.
This is one you better be wary of,
Exactly.
because we know you have a beautiful dog.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love your dog.
Thank you.
Right.
And
So
we
Lily
gotta
has a
think
place
about
to
that.
live.
That's right,
Exactly.
exactly. But not all condos accept pets.
Right.
Some condos, the owners can have a pet, but tenants cannot. So know before you go.
Different rules.
And do the rules change sometimes after you've purchased a condo?
Sometimes, yes.
And that could mean something pretty traumatic.
Well,
can't
there's implications to it, but they don't begin the rules immediately. They typically
Give some time.
They give you a year. Like if
Yeah.
if they adopt a no tenant pet policy, they're not going to say, okay, all tenants with pets have to go now. They'll
Or
give you-
perhaps they'll grandfather in those
Grandfather you in,
existing.
too.
Right.
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 Yeah. So you'd better be concerned about it because it could
Sure.
change.
Exactly.
That's something that can happen.
Exactly. Check
Interesting.
what's called the CC&R. It's codes and covenants and restrictions.
Codes, covenants, and restrictions.
Correct.
That sounds scary. Are there other things that we should consider that I haven't mentioned?
Yeah, special assessments. Many condo associations will need to re-roof, and they don't have enough reserve funds, let's say.
So you get to help pay
Bingo,
for it.
you get to help pay for it. So in purchasing a condo, look into the homeowners association to see how much reserves that the association has and if they're prepared for those capital improvements, whether it be a roof or siding or road or sidewalks or whatever. But remember, it's everything on the outside that they're...
You might want to know just who's in charge and how solvent they are, right?
Well, and also one other thing with all the new lending practices, the lenders are requiring 6 months of operating capital in their reserve fund, and so you see a lot of homeowners associations that don't have that. So somebody can't get a loan, so now they're special assessing just to build up the reserve so people can get loans.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty.
There's a lot to think
it's
about
pretty
here.
encompassing.
Well,
It
there
really
is, and the whole concept of where they're evolving to in the homeowners association is that they have enough reserves so that there aren't the unforeseen special assessments that come about. But
You know, I don't like unforeseen. That's why I bring you guys in. It's two
Yeah.
more pairs of eyes.
There you
yes,
go.
exactly.
I appreciate that. If
Exactly.
someone else wants to do that, where do we go? Find Jim and Deb.
Try us at lehartley.com or certainly at 647-8009.
All right, guys, as always, I
Right.
appreciate you being here
Thanks,
talking
Joe.
about condos today. That's
Yeah.
Yep.
some good information. It gives you a whole bunch of ideas on what you might want to do for yourself. It certainly can be an investment as well. It's just a real nice place to live where you don't have to do anything.
That's
exactly
right.
A vacation every day.
Shut the door and go.
That sounds great. All right, we'll be wrapping up the show here in just a minute. Thanks, Jim, Deb.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you,
All right,
Joe.
we'll be right back.
See you next month.
Park City Television invites you to join us Thursday